What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL video with your boy. Drop a like down below, comment anything in the comment section to enter your name into the $50 giveaway that I do every single week on this channel. This will be the final video that you're able to put your $50 entrance into. Tomorrow's first look lineup video for week 6. I will be announcing the winner for this week's $50 giveaway. So this will be the final video that you're able to enter your name into the drawing. And like I said, I'll randomly scroll through video. I'll randomly pick a video throughout the week. I'll randomly scroll the comments and choose the winner that way. All right. So good luck to everybody. Greenlightdfs.com. Join the squad, man. Once again, week 5 was amazing for us. First couple weeks were rough. That's to be expected. It's the beginning of the year. You don't really know exactly what to expect coming in. A lot of times in the beginning of the NFL season, before you really know what to expect, it can be the toughest couple weeks of the whole entire year because you got to get used to what coaching staffs are going to be game planning, and how they're going to use certain guys and snap counts and stuff like that. Last 3 weeks straight we have dominated, going into week 6 for our 4th week in a row. I'm excited for it, but let's go ahead and finish this week off with a bang and dominate this showdown. Super excited for it. Yesterday was a big day for us. Smashed the early showdown and killed the main as well with missing Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones ended up leaving the game, and we still smashed because your boy played Tony. Yes, sir. Kadarius Toney went off, had an amazing game. He is going to be an absolute stud, especially as long as Shepard and those guys are out. It's going to be great for Tony. So Tony is a baller. I felt that. Only 4K. I felt like I loved that pairing with Jones and him. Jones ended up getting hurt, but Tony more than made up for it. So it was a great week for us. Let's go ahead and kill this Monday night showdown. So first and foremost, you guys know how I always like to start it. What do we expect this game script to be? What do we expect this game to go like? So Baltimore versus the Colts. This game is in Baltimore. I'm expecting Baltimore to be up. I'm expecting them to win by a good bit. It's the same kind of situation as what Vegas is feeling. I'm feeling the same way about it. There are times where, Vegas will be one way, and I'm just kind of like, I expect it to be closer than that, or I expect it to be the other way around. But this time I kind of agree. At home in Baltimore, I do expect Baltimore to be able to get up here and, control a lot of this game. Now, first and foremost, anytime Baltimore is on a showdown slate and it's a single game slate, I always go Lamar and captain majority of the time because Lamar Jackson just has more upside than anybody on the entire slate, and it's not particularly close because of what he can do with his feet. It's not very close, and regardless of what the game script ends up being here, I don't see a blowout by any means. I just see Baltimore maybe being up a touchdown majority of the time, and the Colts game script having to be a little bit more pass heavy. And but yeah, Lamar Jackson in this kind of situation on single game slates, I pretty much try my hardest to try to get Lamar at the captain position. So that is where I really start my builds, and then I go from there and I try to figure it out otherwise. Because like I said, Lamar Jackson can single-handedly kill you, especially if you don't have him. And single game slates, you pretty much need him. If you're making 150 lineups, no matter how you set your builds and stuff, you're probably still on a single game slate. You're still probably only going to get maybe 2 lineups out of 150 that don't have Lamar, and you might not even get that. You know what I mean? Like most of the time, you're going to get Lamar Jackson on showdown slates. So Lamar is my favorite captain. That's no surprise there. Next up, let's talk about the run back. I like Zach Pascal here. All right, so Baltimore has been one of the best teams in the league at perimeter defense. Their secondary is really, really good on the perimeter. Really, really good. They are one of the best in the league. I believe they're ranked 27th in fantasy points allowed to perimeter. They have been amazing. Now, it is completely flip-flopped when it comes to facing the slot. They give up the most fantasy points in the entire league to slot receivers. And Zach Pascal lines up in the slot over 80% of the time. So expect Zach Pascal to be a big part of the Colts trying to keep this game close. Now, Zach Pascal isn't like an absolute must play by any means, but when it comes to the matchup and the situation here, with me expecting the Colts to be behind and knowing that Baltimore's weak point is the slot, I mean, the cornerback, what is his name? I believe his name's Tavon for Baltimore. He gives up an 80% catch rate to balls thrown to slot receivers. compared to 50% or less to the perimeter corners, Marlon Humphrey and whatever else the other dude's name is. I can't remember. But it's a big discrepancy here, guys. Like, they are bad versus the slot compared to the perimeter to being very good. So not only do I like Pascal because the matchup is there for him against the slot, but because the perimeter is so stout for Baltimore, I'm expecting more targets for Pascal. It's going to open Pascal up even more. So not only do they suck at guarding the slot, but there's going to be more targets focused to the slot because the perimeter is so good. And I think that's another reason why Baltimore has struggled versus slot as much as they have, because offenses are realizing perimeter defense is really good. We need to target the middle. We need to target the slot. So that is what they've been doing. So Zach Pascal I really like here. He is second on the Colts in targets. So I really like Zach Pascal. Third core player that I want to go here is going to go, I could go Carson Wentz, Jonathan Taylor. Let's talk about Jonathan Taylor for a second. So I could see myself settling on Jonathan Taylor by the end of the night, solely because Jonathan Taylor is a stud, all right? The only negative point that you have with Jonathan Taylor is Nyheim Hines, because Hines tends to always show up when you love Jonathan Taylor. If you're not on Jonathan Taylor goes off. When you're on Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines goes off. Now, Jonathan Taylor got like 8 targets week 1. Outside of that, Nyheim Hines has been the heavier targeted running back. He is the pass-catching back. He is the guy they like to use on third downs. And that is the part that kind of bothers me here. Because if, in fact, Baltimore gets up a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, the game script for the Colts is going to be pass-heavy. What does that mean? That means we might see a lot more Nyheim Hines than we want to see if we play Jonathan Taylor. So that is the only issue here. Now, Jonathan Taylor, if I'm the Colts, you know what I mean? Honestly, if the Colts have any chance at keeping this game competitive, if this game ends up being a competitive game, it's because Jonathan Taylor is successful on the ground. If they stop Jonathan Taylor, and the only thing the Colts are able to do is dump Nyheim Hines and hit Pascal in the slot, it's going to be tough for them to keep it, competitive. Okay, in my opinion, if the Colts are going to keep this competitive, it's because Jonathan Taylor has a solid game. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm not in no means having him in the core in must-play territory or like super high on my must-play list, but Jonathan Taylor is in play. I will say that. Michael Pittman Jr., like I said, the perimeter defense for Baltimore is solid. I'm not going to have a ton of Pittman. I prefer Pascal. If that burns me, it burns me. It is what it is. Mark Andrews at 6'6" is a guy that I do have some interest in. You know what? Actually, there's a value guy I want to go in the core. So Mark Andrews I really, really like. Latavius Murray, I could see him vulturing some touchdowns. That's going to be annoying because we're going to want Lamar, but I can already see Latavius Murray possibly vulturing some touchdowns against the Colts. At 7'4", I just don't have much love for Latavius, to be completely honest with you. But value-wise, so first-round draft pick. Let me see. Rashod Bateman. First-round draft pick Rashod Bateman should be activated for tonight's game is what I am expecting as of right now. He is expected to make his NFL debut tonight. Now, this is a solid kid right here. This is a solid receiver. He was a first-round draft pick for a reason. I'm expecting him to be the new wide receiver 3 for Baltimore. He might even possibly be in the start. He might possibly start out there. You know what I mean? Like, he is going to get some solid run, and at only $200, he makes things so accessible in your site. In your lineups. And this is a guy that I wanted to put in here because this is a guy that I have a lot of love for tonight. Even if he gets limited-ish snaps, at $200, we don't need anything. Honestly, at $200, we might not need him to get anything if our other guys perform the way we want. But on Showdown slates, it's all about finding the solid value. And with Rashod Bateman making his NFL debut, he is a talented receiver. He was a first-rounder, like I said, for a reason. and he's making his debut today, and I am expecting him to be the wide receiver 3 on Baltimore. Okay, they don't have a ton of stud receivers for Baltimore outside of Marquise Brown, so I'm expecting Rashod Bateman to really, cement himself in here. So I really like him. Keep an eye on the situation. If he doesn't end up making his debut, then obviously you're not going to want him. But if he, in fact, is going to make his debut tonight, Rashod Bateman is a guy that I will have in almost every single lineup that I build, with him only being $200. So, yes, he could be limited. Yes, he could run like 10 routes, if that. But at the end of the day, at $200, I'm willing to take that. Like I said, I wouldn't cry if he got me 0, as long as my other guys that I'm spending up for, because I'm spending 200 on him, the guys that I'm spending for in here, if they're able to do what they're supposed to do, I'm fine with 0. But do I expect Bateman to get 0? No. I have him projected around 5 or so, about 5.5 or something like that. And at 200, that's probably almost locked. Especially if you have him projected at like 5.5 in your optimizers or whatever you guys got going on, then he's probably going to show up in every single version you make. So I really like Rashod Bateman a lot at 200, and that is the core. Lamar Jackson. Is always my captain when Baltimore's playing at home and just in single game slates in general. He's always my must-play guy. He's always my captain. He's just super safe and has ridiculous upside. Zach Pascal, Baltimore is solid versus the perimeter, but struggles versus the slot. I'm expecting the Colts to come in here knowing that and take full advantage of that. Rashod Bateman making his NFL debut. First-round draft pick, should be a solid receiver here, and at 200, we don't need much out of him. Now, let's talk about the other guys that we haven't talked much about. All right. Carson Wentz. Love Carson Wentz, especially with Bateman. You're probably able to get Wentz in there to run back, playing from behind. Mark Andrews, I love him. Sammy Watkins, you can play him. Nyheim Hines is a guy I have some interest in for sure at 5'6", because like I said, with this game script and the Colts playing from behind, there is a good chance. There is a solid chance that we see a lot of Nyheim Hines here. And if you play Jonathan Taylor, expect Nyheim Hines to go off. So, honestly, everybody, I want you all to go play Jonathan Taylor so I can play Nyheim Hines and win $1 million. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, that's one of those situations. The Colts running back situation is one of the most frustrating in the entire DFS industry. Okay, it's frustrating because it literally seems like if you go Jonathan Taylor, Hines goes off. If you go Hines, Jonathan Taylor goes off. So, obviously, if I had to choose between the two and I had the money to get Taylor, I would side with Taylor just because Taylor's just a talented running back, and I could see him, like I said, if this game is competitive at the end of it, it's because Jonathan Taylor was a boss. Plain and simple. All right. So I could expect Jonathan Taylor to do his thing. So I like Jonathan Taylor in cash games. I think he's a solid option. I like Nyheim Hines for GPPs with that game script of them playing from behind most likely. I really like them having to dump it off a lot to Nyheim Hines, and Hines could do well as well. So it's hard. It's a hard decision, man. It's a hard one. I do downgrade Duvernay. I downgrade Sammy a little bit because of Rashod Bateman making his debut, and like I said, I expect him to be on the field a lot here soon. Justin Tucker's solid as the kicking option. I always take the favorite at home, so that's always going to be Baltimore. That's always going to be Jonathan Taylor as the kicker when you have to choose a kicker. Not too interested in Paris Campbell. No. What else? Jack Doyle is interesting playing from behind. He's another solid option today. And that's about it. So when it comes to value, Rashod Bateman. When it comes to other options, sneaky options, Jack Doyle could end up being sneaky. Mo Alley Cox could be sneaky. Nyheim Hines could be sneaky. I'm looking for value receiving on the Colts side. And on the Baltimore side, I love Bateman, I love Jackson, I love Andrews, Latavius could vulture a TD, and that's about it, y'all. So hopefully I was able to put y'all on a good track. Let's go ahead and smash this Monday Night Showdown, head into Week 6. If you weren't with us in Week 5, if you made the major mistake at not being with us Week 5, you now have missed 3 weeks in a row where we have smashed. Don't miss the 4th. GreenlightDFS.com. You can grab Week 6 and get Monday Night Showdown included in that. So if you weren't with us in Week 5, hit up GreenlightDFS.com, grab the Week 6 package, and you will get Monday Night Showdown tonight with us. All right? Let's get it. Thank you guys for joining me as always, and I'm out. Peace.